Okay, welcome to part two of the discussion. Uh, I would want to start with Ushwa on the last point that Anant made. When he talks about individual contribution to the positive impact that each of us can have on the condition that we are in. Uh, you gave us the example of teaching someone, which could be a trait that you have. Would it necessitate that all of us think a little more about what we can do in this time for people who are have-nots, for people who are working on daily wages or who are working in shops which were non-essentials, garments, makeup, small stores of any kind, which are still not allowed to work very often. So those guys must be going through a difficult time. Is it necessary that people who are privileged like we are put in a little extra effort? And if yes, is there a method to the help that one can look at? Not to advise others, but in case if you had to pick something up for yourself, are there little things that you did in your mindset change or in the way you deal with it on a daily basis?
I don't think it's about a change at all in the mindset or in the way we behave and what we need to do to help. I think we as people need to understand the value of self-assessment and the importance of social infrastructure. So if personally me, I know what I need to do in my life and how I can help others around me, that is my self-assessment. And if what I can do to help the others around me actually improves the way people around me behave with one another, how connected they are, how secure they are, how their mental health is, or any one of these other small facets of social infrastructure, that itself will go a very long way. And the truth is that at least in India, around me, I don't see enough of social infrastructure. When I moved into the apartment that I lived in right now 10 years ago, I didn't even have street lights outside. I didn't have neighbors that I could speak to outside my apartment. My own apartment was 50% empty. So just the lack of people willing to connect with one another was a problem at that time. And since then, there has been a large improvement. But that improvement has come over a series of 10 years. And I can now today say that yes, I feel more secure socially living over here because I no longer hear of people getting robbed at night, or there is just a larger amount of money in the area. So people even living outside my apartment who are living in a village, technically what I live in is a village, and this apartment complex is part of that village, and it's right in the middle of the city, and it connects between two city hubs. And this village area doesn't necessarily have all the infrastructure that the rest of the city has. But this village area has my apartment, and the people in this apartment not only provide jobs, but the education level itself has increased over here in the past 10 years. Now, in the span of 10 years, there has been a lot of improvement that has happened. And I can go into detail about it. But the truth is that along with the influx of me, my privilege, my family, and many families like me, almost 1,000 of us, there has been a systemic change in the behavior amongst people that lived here for even 3 decades. And that itself is what we need right now. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen with just one small action. It's never about just one small action. It just starts there. It starts with you seeing what your neighbors need, you seeing what people around you need. And then it moves on to a systemic improvement in the quality of life, and however that can happen. That doesn't necessarily mean a value change or a mind change in my head. That is something as people that we have to learn as a skill, and that learned skill is one of the hardest things to teach. Because for you to go from thinking about yourself to thinking about you and your surroundings, that itself is a leap that not everybody who studies even understands. So there is a flaw, and this time is the best time to utilize that gap in education and actually improve on that one facet, and it'll clear your mind on a lot of things. I think a lot of clarity on what most people my age want to do with their lives, or the kind of questions that they ask, the kinds of things that they dream of doing and in their future. It all comes from that simple leap from what can I do for myself to what can I do for everyone around me that'll make me happy.
Okay. I would break it into two parts and ask you a question. Anant, you want to make a comment or something on that?
Um, Actually, in relation to your question regarding how we could make a difference for uh, the small scale workers, I found, and as a personal anecdote during this quarantine, that many of, if you're fond of writing and if you have a certain degree of expertise in whatever area, organizations and companies like historical archives that can't right now go out there and do their research are welcoming online publications from the public, and they do pay you token payments for the time you invest in writing for them. So what I did was publish some online articles during this lockdown, and a fraction of that money I do dedicate to causes, because there are plenty of charities online that are available for the workers. And I recently donated to a charity that guards against domestic violence, because there's a high incidence of domestic violence during this quarantine period where people aren't really getting out and are staying at home. So I think in these small ways you can make your difference. But as Ushwa rightly said, it's never or only about that small difference that you make, although that's a starting point. Because me donating to a charity isn't going to solve the systemic issue of offering dignity to workers or ensuring minimum wage. So, sort of tying up to what I said earlier with regards to the power you have in your own agency, you can control your own actions. You can't control those of others. So, do whatever you can while you're at it.
Okay. I would, point taken. I would want to continue on my thought that I had for regarding what Ushua said. One part of what she mentioned was incidental learning upliftment of the society because of the way they shifted and a certain sense of modernization, a certain sense of um, lot of small things for the people who nothing was being done for automatically landed up happening because a community of a different socio-economic sector came in there. Um, Partially, of course, we are all responsible for that. Partially, it happens to us as much as we are part of it. Um, my question is more, my own attempt is more individualistic so that we are able to face the challenges that come to us more than the solutions. The solutions, when they happen, they are good. But talking about the problems, when we called it the questioning the answers, the idea is what is set is fine. How do we probe deeper to make a more important change? So both of you in the last episode that Anant had spoken about values, he also kept on mentioning about the social impact of uh, what you guys are doing at this juncture. My perspective from the generation that I come from, uh, I'm only talking perspective of our generation, so hold your guns before you react to that. Um, is that we as a society have been strongly moving towards quote unquote selfish interests, each one for himself, more and more. How does one get out of that? how does one ensure that people of your generation take home the right lessons? So, when did this change happen? How did you guys come across thinking like this, where you had your own interests? Obviously, that has been given to you all by us. Okay, okay, look after your interests, look after what you want, how do you want to study, what do you want to do. Till date, a lot of Indian resources go abroad. I call you all resources not out of some sense of fiefdom that we have over you all, but more as a precious requirement every nation has. People who are thinking individuals, people who are trying to make a change to themselves, and in doing so, making a change for their immediate vicinity as well. When did this? Is it just the two of you, or do you see this very often in the generation that you belong to, among your friends that you're talking about how to make the world a better place? What is it that you would want to contribute? I've in my times I've had those thoughts. To a larger extent, the life I'm leading today is a little closer to what I wanted to, but I cannot say that I moved towards it. It's only a couple of months back when I started feeling, with my kind of peculiar talent, what is it that I want to do with my life? And I think December, Jan, now it's 6 months and 3 months since the values workshop is on. However, successful or not is a different issue altogether. But it kind of went on evolving. Is this what you're seeding? Is this a common trait? Where does your Ushua, do you want to go first on this? Do your friends also share this social concern, or is it an individualistic trait that you have?
I think the value of being woke is more important to people our age right now than the value of actually using that to further society or further better help people around you. And that's a problem that comes from many different social issues by themselves. But to make that distinction and to actually apply yourself to the problems that you can, I'd say maybe 25% of my friends can do that at best.
Okay. 25% is a good number to start with. Anand, what is your take on this? Would your friends be as social minded as you are? Most of them or a few of them? How does it work for you?
I am happy to note that I don't speak for myself when I display concern about the social issues, because even if I do have friends who aren't engineering their careers towards a specific vocation that gives back to society, there is still an acknowledgement amongst them, no matter what career path they take, that it is necessary in some manner to give back to society. Now, speaking for the generation as a whole and looking at the larger picture, as much as I applaud that it is a conscious choice among the members of my generation, I need to look at the circumstances we're living in as well. Members of my generation, we don't really have a choice when it comes to not being environmentally conscious. It's not really a choice for us. We need to be environmentally conscious, and we need to be conscious of developing a political and economic system that's sustainable for us in the long run, for the mere fact that our predecessors never thought of the same things because they weren't faced with the same problems. So also to make up for their lack of concern for the longevity of a system, we need to adopt a more altruistic approach, I'd say.
This is very interesting because this goes to the beginning of the talk where we said, has the world failed its youth? So my question is again two-pronged. Anand, would you want to see it negatively? Do you hold a grudge against the generation that has handed you these problems? Because these are not easy problems to handle anyways. And at some point, we as a generation, when we had the tsunami and the flooding of Mumbai, one did feel a sense of outrage. But then when you saw back at your own childhood and your neighbors and yourself also perhaps. I don't know. It wasn't such a big deal to us. We were happy in our ignorance. We were, I would say, we were literate illiterates. We refused to uh, take responsibility for our actions with as small a thing as not opting for plastic bags. It's still a concern. I think half the time the government passes an order, and then there are some people who will still give you the plastic bag. Uh, I know of some times when I've forgotten to take my bag and I am just forced to, and I don't think much about the fact. And I am well read about the fact that plastic takes a couple of 100 years to. You keep on thinking, how do I carry the veggies or the grocery in my hand? So you just absolve yourself very easily and get out of it. Instead of making it a point that I will not buy it today, I'll come back again, punish myself, which is obviously a tough call, but I'm saying, well, where we've reached is no small fry either. We've been yesterday. I was watching a video. The masks and the sanitizers have reached the ocean floors already. So and it was some either a BBC or a Guardian video that was doing the rounds that please desist, use recyclable masks. I'm saying we are supposed to be the intelligent species, and we are handing over a world to you. Don't you? Is there a sense of outrage at times? Is there a sense of when are we going to be able to hold them culpable for this kind of behavior? Do you think this at all? Politically, economically, even the business-wise, the big businesses are equally guilty for this. How do you look at?
Well,
Sorry.
I am angry. I would say yes, I am angry. I'm not just angry at one, I'm angry at all of them. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to shout from the top of my lungs. I'm going to bide my time, play the longer game, and wait till I can figure out a way to reverse what not you, but the generation you has done, or at least in my capacity. And that's what we started with me saying. Because the truth is, it's not a question of has the world failed its youth. It's a question of have we failed each other entirely. Because I mean, as a generation, each year you live longer. So it's obviously not going to be that, yes, we left the world to you and now we're gone. No, you are probably going to be living very much in the same time that when we are your age, you will be slightly older but in need of assistance, but will be very much alive because modern medicine enables you to be so. That doesn't mean that you've left us a worse world. You've just made it worse for everyone in it already. So there's no point in an actual, like, yes, you have failed me by giving me a world that is so much more problematic. No, you have failed the world in general by leaving this a worse place than you did when you entered. And that's a reason to be angry but not vocal. More like it's a call for a betterment. I don't know how else to put it. It's just a call. Kind of like how the Avengers call to assemble in the end of the movie at Endgame. It's a call for betterment. But yeah.
Anant?
It's a delicate line to draw about whether or not I should be outraged. But I think there definitely should be outrage now in an age of information where environmental doom is scientifically upon us, and if you still haven't mended your ways, as you said, these large corporations who in their pursuit of profit, that's only going to prove beneficial in the short term but cause devastating impact in the long term. If you choose to be ignorant about such issues, then there is cause for outrage. If you choose to know these issues but yet continue on persisting in the old ways that have not proven to be too feasible in the long run. Yes, there is cause for outrage, but I'm happy to note that there is significant backing by members of the previous generation to the younger activists today. There is significant support behind them and the causes that they stand for. I won't, it would be wrong for me to say that the entire movement to have sustainability in terms of environment or the economy or anything is purely youth dominated. It would be wrong of me to say that. And it is as beneficial to have other members of society, including the parents of these activists, to give them that backing.
Okay. Uh, we have spent quite a bit of time on this issue. I have a few points to make. Do you guys agree on that? Just let me know. What came out to me out of this discussion so far is the fact, I like one fact that she said at the very end, that it's not demarcated that this is the youth and these are the people who've done it to us. We are all in it, and we are facing the consequences as much as anybody else is. That's a very interesting take on things. I hope that there is a lot more people from our generation picking up and helping you with our experience. I also agree with what Anant has said about there are some of us who are very strongly influenced by these matters. The best I realize that I can do, I have a 13-year-old daughter. I try and ensure that I'm vocal about everything that I do, and sometimes I do not do the right thing. But when she questions that, I admit that this is not the right thing. I don't have a choice, and I'm doing it because I'm stuck at this point. So that she knows there is a choice and it's being done deliberately. At least one part of the world is honest. One part of the world is and is wise enough to understand what is coming to them, and instead of going out and bearing flags about what can be done, I realize on a daily basis if it is being done, and there are things that we've done. A couple of times we've gone out on a drive or something, and my daughter would say, "Oh, that poor guy looks very needy. Let's go get some food for that person." And I feel very happy about the fact because I have deliberately done it, and I have kind of called it A for apple, not so much to build up my own ego, but just to, when she was growing up, she would say, "Let's give this person money." We would say, "No, I wouldn't give him money because I don't know if he might go and get drunk." But at the same time, you're right, we should do something for him. And we would actually go buy food and come and give it to that person. Once or twice, we've actually chased people who've gone away because they weren't there in the same place when we went. So it kind of made a huge impression on her about how we as a society can share our goods in any manner that we can. Another good thing that came to me is the world is in safe hands. You guys are fairly balanced in your point of view. And I would have loved to speak a lot more, but I think this second call is also about to come to an end in around 5 odd minutes. So anything that you want to add to this? Anything? I'm hoping that you will share it with your friends so that we have a lot more people contributing to this conversation, what they think about the world and how we can make it a better place together. Anything at all on an individual level?
No, I'm done.
Anand, you want to say something?
I think I'd just like to echo your point that it is definitely not misplaced belief on our part to have hope in what is to come, but we shouldn't let that hope make us complacent and force us into inaction by just relying on hope and not substantial action. So it's a good point.
I think that's a good last word. All of us should try and do something which is actionable rather than just talking about it. Wonderful. This has been a very, very engaging talk. I think, Ushua, you're not getting away so soon. We'll get you for another talk at some point.
Sure thing. No problem.
For joining us. Anand,
Thank you.
You are a star on every podcast now. So welcome to this whole new discussion of sorts. And I hope you also keep contributing to all our other media that we are on. I decided that this time onwards I'll be a little advertising in my nature and say the follow us on Instagram at thevaluesworkshop.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please contribute with your comments and share, because it provokes us what kind of topics we can take up. This is a genuinely new, different kind of thing that I am trying. I was very scared today, but thank you for hand-holding me through this. It's been good to see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.